You're welcome to the show, Susan Jameson. How's it going?
Thank you. Yeah, good. You've caught me at a really good time because they've just announced that they have put the ban back on fracking because I've been campaigning locally around here for about nearly about 15 years, probably a bit longer, against
Wow.
against digging down for anything.
Yeah.
Money into insulation and all the rest of it. I'm not going to go on and on about it, but I'm in a good mood.
So, like Jessie Seaton, you're a campaigner.
I am a campaigner. I am, yes.
How did you first get the part as Jessie Seaton?
I'm not quite sure, really. It was absolutely nothing to do with Jim, because the funny thing was that they asked him to do it, and then I heard that they were looking for someone who could do a Geordie accent. So I said to my agent, I can, because I've lived with him for quite a while now. And so they got in touch with me, and they didn't realise for quite some time that they were using the same telephone number to get in touch with him and to get in touch with me. And then suddenly someone put those two together and went, hang on a minute. So I think it was partly just because I've got quite a good ear for accents and things, and I think it was just, because I've lived all over the country when I was growing up, so I've got a bit of everything.
Speaking of politics, there was quite a lot of politics in when
there was a lot of politics in there, yeah.
But it wasn't boring, was it? It was far from boring.
No, that's right. No, that's right. Well, it was telling it like it was and what it meant to the people up there, and it was in their hearts and affected their bodies physically and everything, and it was just incredibly real. I thought it was a joy to do, I must say.
Yeah, I think it's such a timeless series, partly because of the time period, but also because of the fine actors, great characters, and brilliant storylines, weren't there?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's what I was going to sort of hope that you might talk about, which was all the early stuff, particularly. I mean, I think the scripts were pretty good throughout, but the early stuff, which was all filmed up there in Newcastle, which was lovely, and they were written by people like, Jimmy Mitchell, of course, he was a welder, I think, on the docks, who could write as well, and I mean, they were all proper local Geordie people who'd been through the mill and knew what it was like, or their parents had been involved in all the strikes and everything, and so it really came from people who knew what they were talking about and could write it so beautifully and accessibly for people to watch. And a smashing group of actors, of course. Our family particularly were lovely.
The Seaton family, yeah, of course. Yeah. You had Bill, you had Bella, you had your brothers as well.
Yes, we were great friends with Ed Wilson particularly, and also with Jeannie Hayward for a long, long time, who's in fact, she only died, I think, probably about 3 years ago now. And we used to see quite a lot of her because she moved relatively near so we could go and visit, and she was lovely. I always remember very early on when we were filming, all in the studio in those days, apart from the filmed bits obviously, and we went onto the set for the first time into the kitchen area, and she just started taking things off the shelves and putting them away in the cupboards. She said, we're on strike, we haven't got bloody all these expensive ornaments and things. We wouldn't have any of this. They'd all be in hock down the road if we'd had them in the first place. It was so brilliant.
When the Boat Comes In was produced by the BBC, of course, between 1976 and 1981.
Yeah.
I imagine the viewing figures would have been very high back then.
Yes, I think they were. Because there weren't anything like the number of channels that there are now or anything, but it caught the people's imagination, definitely. Lots and lots of people, because we were still living in London still, and there were a lot of people would sort of, be stopping you and saying, oh, especially obviously Jim, coming after the Likely Lads and everything, which was so popular, into this real proper drama, gave him a chance to show his skills, which was great.
Yeah, I think it's your husband's probably best role, I would say. And I would say
that's one of. Yeah, certainly one of. I mean, he's had some great roles, perhaps on, other things on stage and lots of things like that. But there's some other good stuff that he's done, But,
and what about yourself? Where does it stand for you? Is it a highlight?
It's a highlight, definitely, definitely. In fact, my day was made not very long ago. I had to be up in London to go and do a little sort of turning up for something, and I got off the tube at the Oval, and there was a young fella standing there doing something to one of the machines. He obviously worked on the station, and I was just walking by, and he went, "Oh, oh," he says, "my favourite show." And I thought, oh, you know, a young sort of mixed race boy, lovely boy. I thought, blimey, because he wasn't very old. I said, what? Thinking perhaps he meant, I don't know, new tricks or some rubbish. Not rubbish, don't say that. Rubbish at all, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean, yeah.
He said, when the boat comes in, he said, me and my dad, we've got the whole lot, we've got them all, we've been watching them. And I just thought, bloody hell, after all this time.
Yeah, it is amazing, isn't it? I think I think a lot of families kind of introduce it to their children. That's how I got into it, actually, because my parents loved the show. And then I started to watch it, and then I got hooked. So
yeah. So I gather you are a big fan.
Oh yeah. I've got all the DVDs here. You can see.
Right.
So,
okay.
yeah.
They've not repeated it though. They have. I don't know whether it's perhaps they haven't got the. I don't know. It's not been repeated very much, has it?
No, it's surprising, really. You would have thought it would have been.
Yeah, I thought so. They would have found a little space for it somewhere. They've done all the Catherine Cooksons, of course. I've done a couple of them, you know, and all that stuff. You think, come on.
Yeah, it should be about time, really, shouldn't it?
It is, isn't it? Should we speak to somebody?
Yeah.
Okay,
All right. Good idea.
You can do that.
I'll try. Of course, you and James have been married for many years, but When the Boat Comes In, it didn't have a fairy tale ending for Jack and Jessie, did it?
No, it didn't. No. Well, of course, I mean, Lucy, bless her, got slightly altered things. So, of course, I ended up marrying the teacher. And
Mr. Ashdown, yeah.
Yes. It was very fun. It was very fun. He was incredibly tall. It's terribly funny. But he was a nice guy, actually, but it was just sort of, it was hard because having had all the others, you know, to suddenly be with such a different kind of person for characters and things. But no, it was good. I enjoyed it, whatever. But of course, what happened sadly was that a lot of the stuff was filmed later in later series to save money. The BBC typically sort of didn't stop spending quite so much on it and did quite a lot of it down south. So, of course, Jack died actually on Farnham Common with me crying.
Yeah, that was to do with the Spanish Civil War, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yes, it was supposed to be in Spain. We filmed a little bit in Folkestone as well, which was also supposed to be Spain. And we were such a long time out on a boat at one point that the people providing lunch for us got so cross that they threw all the food in the sea and into the harbour.
Really?
Yeah, but no, I mean, you know, mad, but that's filming.
Yeah.
So,
And with the last series, I would say it was very different from the other series, because the first three series it was all centered around the Seaton family, wasn't it? And of course, Jack's trying to make his way in the world. Yeah,
that's right. And then, of course, he started moving up and working with you know, sort of, and other actors who are just so different, really. Basil Henson and people like that are smashing, lovely. But, you know, Jack moved up in the world and started going to a few dinner parties and things like that. And it's a long way from the Seaton kitchen.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's good. I mean, that's good. That's how it was. So, you know, that's what happened with some of these guys who, you know, moved up politically. So, no, it was good. It's good.
But Jessie was a great character, wasn't she? She had a lot of spirit, didn't she?
Oh, yes.
She'd always fight for a cause. And I think that's what Jack liked about her, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yes. No. She didn't take any prisoners, really. She got more brave as time went on, didn't she? Spoke up a bit more and all that. Yeah. So there we are.
But in the end, she has to marry Mr. Ashdown, and it's mostly because of her brother Billy, isn't it? Because he wants to go to uni.
Yes, that's right. Yes, so she's got to try and support him somehow. So, oh, Ed Wilson was such a nice, lovely guy. Bless him. Yes, the Youth Theatre in London. That's what he ran, you know, which is very successful since. So, yeah, he ran that for several years with his partner. So he had a nice career moving on in a slightly different way.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, well, there's one or two funny little stories. Do you want a funny little story?
Yeah, let's hear the funny little stories.
Well, I've told you about Jean stripping down the kitchen as soon as she got in there. That was quite funny. And of course, when we were filming at Cullercoats on the sea, on the beach, it was hilarious, really, because everybody was completely muffled up in huge, padded, warm jackets and everything. And there's me and Jim, me in a sort of frock or something, paddling in the sea and having a wonderful time and enjoying it and everything. We were absolutely freezing. Absolutely. So we had to have ice cubes. You have to put an ice cube in your mouth so that you don't produce, obviously, the visible steam.
Oh, right.
In a cold place, of course, your breath goes to steam. So, yes, so we had the ice cube so that we could say the lines.
Wow. That must have been difficult.
It was very cold up there filming, I must say, outside a lot of the time, which is why I think Jim quite likes living down here now. But the other funny thing that happened one of the days we were filming, I think it was about the second series, we were filming a street thing, and I can't remember why I was there. I forget now the whole thing, but I was sitting down on a little chair for the makeup lady to come over. She was leaning over me and tending me and patting my cheeks, I think, because they were a bit too red or not red enough or something. And this little old lady came along, and she came up behind us and she said, "Eve, has there been an accident?" Because she thought that I was being rescued from having fallen down in the street or something like that. And I was just having my makeup done.
Oh.
And of course, all these other people were all gathered round. So she thought, "Oh, Eve, what's happened? There's something. You all right, Pat?" All this was going on. Essentially, I'm fine, thank you. Lots of little things like that in amongst the folk up there were lovely.
I bet. And so this is a hard question. What do you think was your best episode in the series? That's probably too hard a question, or?
Oh, golly, you know, it's such a long time since I've seen it now. I don't think I can really answer that.
Did you watch it back at the time when it was on the TV?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, but it is a long time ago that it was first.
Yeah. 76. So, yeah, the original series.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, and our daughter is now 46.
Oh, wow. Time flies.
Can't quite believe it, but there you are. Yeah. So I can't really answer that.
Oh, that's all right. I wasn't sure if you could, because, yeah, I mean, it's a long time ago, isn't it? And sometimes you find with actors, they can't rewatch what they're in as well, don't you? You find that.
Well, I don't mind. I don't mind. I always think I could have done it better.
Yeah, that's the thing, I imagine.
Yeah, same with radio as well. Everything you listen to that you do, you think, "Oh, bloody hell, done that better." So, yeah, I just played a very nice Yorkshire woman, the funny old lady who wanted to talk to chickens all the time. And I listened to that the other day and I thought, "Oh, finally, that accent wasn't quite as good as I thought." You get very self-critical as the years go by, I think. So I can't answer that one. No, I'm sorry, darling.
That's all right. No worries.
Really, I suppose we ought to get the set, oughtn't we? Do you know, we've never got it.
You've never got the box set, really? Well, I've got it. Yeah.
Perhaps we should.
It was good value, really. You know, it's a lot of hours. You know, I particularly like the first two series, and I like the fourth series, but I'd say the first two are my favourite. Yeah.
I did quite enjoy. I quite enjoyed the Farnham Common episode because I have a facility to cry. I can cry to water, and Ed can't really cry, or couldn't, bless him. And there's Jack dying, supposedly in Spain, and I'm just streaming with tears. Very pleased with myself.
I thought the scene when you broke up with Jack was fine acting. I thought that was really believable, and you did that fantastically well.
Yeah, yes, actually, yes. Now you've brought that back to me. Yes, we'd have to get the box set.
Yeah, you've got to watch it again.
I think I've got a few people I'd quite like to see. Youngsters, younger people, to have a look at it and see what they think. It was James Mitchell and Sid Chaplin, for instance, who wrote. In fact, one episode that we did recorded early on, written by Sid. He was in hospital having heart surgery at the actual time that we were in the studio recording. Quite extraordinary, and his wife was there too, with us, and he was fine.
Oh, good. That's good.
We've done our best for you, Sid. And bless him, he recovered well. Went on to write some other stuff.
And what was it like? Did you receive the scripts? Like, obviously before you. What was that?
Yes. Yes. Oh, yes. We got. I'm not sure if we had. I think we certainly had at least the first 4. No, we probably had the whole of the first 6. I think it was done. It was just, everything was done differently, really. It was done in one office with the same lot of people and everything, the whole series, there was no sort of lots of other people coming in and out and taking over this bit and taking over that bit. The actual running of it, the actual production team stayed the same throughout, all the same cameramen and everything. Because, of course, we had 5 cameras and, all in the studio and everything, and then cutting off to the bits of film, and completely different way of filming. Completely.
Yeah. I suppose it felt, was there kind of a family vibe then to it?
So, yes, very much so. And I think that was partly because you would perhaps have 3 cameras on one scene, so the cutting backwards and forwards, and somebody upstairs in the box, saying, "Coming to camera 3 now," and all that was going on up there while we were acting away. Yeah, very, very different setup. A lot of people in the business now would never have experienced any of that at all.
And what do you think? Obviously, you're an actress now. You still act and you do radio, as you say. Did you prefer working like that, or do you prefer it now, or is it a bit of both?
Oh, a bit of both, really. Yeah, I mean, I haven't done anything like that with so many semi-static cameras. I mean, for years. So sometimes you do an episode of The Doctors or something, and they've got a couple of cameras, but there's not the same thing at all. So I think you just go with the flow, don't you? Things change, so everything changes, and you go with it, and you either get on with it or you don't. So I don't mind really, as long as I got a nice shot. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
a couple of those, very nice.
Was there anything you filmed that because obviously when you're an actor, they don't always show everything that you filmed, but it's probably very hard for you to remember now. But I'm just wondering if there was any scenes that you did and you thought, I wish they would have kept that in, or.
Not really, no, because I don't think much of it was dropped at all. Maybe little bits, maybe sometimes just for time, they might just nip a bit off or take a. But no, I mean, there wasn't a huge amount of editing because they were written so succinctly and so well. It wasn't needed. No, I don't have any memories of things. A few things since I've done, and you think, oh, blimey, where's that bit gone?
No,
not back then. No.
I suppose also it needed to be because the editing process was so much harder back then, because now it's all on computers, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yes, it's much more complicated. Much more. No, that's really, I don't know about that. But yes, it was. I'm sure it's much harder work altogether.
Great.
So,
well, thanks a lot for joining us. It's been really nice to speak to you.
That's all right. I think I've probably talked a load of old rubbish. But
no, it's been great. I've really enjoyed it. And yeah, this is going to be on radio. I'm from Gatwick. And then we're hoping to do a When the Boat Comes In podcast at some stage. Hopefully, yeah. I know you said a lot of the actors have sadly passed away now, haven't they? But I imagine some of them are still around.
Have you managed to find anybody else to talk to?
Well, you're the first one, so so I'm gonna, before I launch, hopefully I can interview some more and then take it from there. Really.
Oh, good. Dad?
Yes.
Come here a minute.
What do you want?
Come here.
What?
Just come here. I know what I want to know. I know. Would you like to come just say hello?
Hello.
No, come here. Put your face in the camera. Dogs and everything coming in now. No, he's too shy.
Is he? Oh, that's a shame. I can hear him, so.
Right, I've got to go. He's doing the dinner.
Okay. All right then. Well, thanks a lot for joining us.
All right, love. Well, all the best.
Great. Thanks a lot.
To hopefully a few people enjoying the memory of it all. You know.
Fantastic show. Thank you.
One of my proudest little jobs. You know, something I'm proudest of. Okay.
Great. Thanks, Susan. Cheers.